And we are live.
I'll call the meeting to order at 12:39 p.m. and read the Territorial Land Acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman is located on the Mississauga and Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe. The Township of Alnwick-Haldeman respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Item 3 is a moment of silence for our fallen soldiers and citizens. And especially at this time with November 11th coming up, I'll just state that I was going to wait till announcements, but I'll do it at the start. November 11th, there'll be, the Legion is having a service at the cenotaph. The wreaths will be laid ahead, and families who want to lay wreaths will do so after their service. There's a little service at Roseneath at the War Memorial on the Four Corners. And on November 7th, Sunday at 1 p.m., the Alderville First Nation will have their service at their cenotaph on 45. Okay, so we'll go for a moment of silence. Pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. See Mike up there? No, seeing none. Item 5, approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council session of Thursday, November 4th be approved as circulated. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson and Councillor Hogg, all in favor? Carried. Item 6, approve regular council session minutes, October 21st and the road tour September 30th. Be it resolved that the regular council session minutes of October 21, 2021 and Public Works road tour minutes of September 30th, 2021 be approved. I'll have a mover. Councillor Phillip, Councillor Booth, all in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the previous minutes? Seeing none. Item 8, this is Daryl. Be it resolved that the report from Daryl Hall, CBO, MBEO Planning Assistant dated November 4th, 2021, rebuilding permit summary for October 2021 be received and filed. Okay, Daryl.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, good afternoon, your worship and council. This not much to report this month other than my typical building summary report for the month. As you'll see, we continue to get building permits in and review them and issue them with all the necessary approvals. So I can answer any questions if anybody has any with respect to the summary report.
Any questions from council? Seeing none.
We didn't have a motion then. I just thought that. That's okay.
I thought I read that.
You read it, but you didn't ask for a mover. or
Okay, I
seconder.
read the motion, but I didn't get a mover and seconder. Could I have a mover, please? Counselor Hogg and Deputy Mayor Gibson, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Daryl. Doesn't look like there's any questions.
Thank you.
Good job, that shows. Item 9 is Public Works Department. This is from Brian McMillan. Be it resolved that report number PW 2021-13 from Brian McMillan, Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation, dated November 4th, 2021, Republic Works Department departmental update be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Counselor Booth, second, Counselor Philip. Okay, we got Brian. Brian here, did he get on?
Brian's in the waiting room. Brian's in the waiting room, so I'll answer any questions until he gets back on.
Any questions from council? Okay. Anything from you, Brian, that you want to address on your report? I don't see questions yet.
Sorry, can everyone hear me now?
Yes,
Okay. No, just the one that I'll highlight is the that the Public Works Facility RFP is closing today at 2 o'clock, and that the report coming back to council on for the next meeting on November 18th. Yeah, if there's any other questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
okay. Anyone have questions? No, no questions. Good to see the emergency lines activated as well, November 1st, so.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
All right, could I have call the vote here for this one? All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Brian. Parks and Recreation Department, this is Jennifer Steen. And the first one is Recreation and Cultural Parks and Recreation update of what's been going on. So I'll read the motion. Be it resolved that report number PC-2021-08 from Jennifer Steen, Parks, Recreation and Cultural Coordinator, dated November 4th, 2021, Parks and Recreation update be received and filed. Have a mover, please. Deputy Mayor Gibson and Councillor Hogg. Jennifer, is there anything you wish to address here?
Hi, I'll just add a couple things that came out of the Recreation and Culture Advisory Committee meeting last night. One is a Christmas parade. So the committee didn't feel ready to have a Christmas parade this year, but are looking at hosting one for 2022. We are exploring ways to get the community involved in celebrating the holiday season, including a lights tour, decorated trees, a skate with Santa, and details on that will be announced soon. Also, a mini art gallery from the Art Gallery of Northumberland will be installed at the outside of the Alnwick Civic Center before the end of this year. And that's a similar concept. I don't know if anyone's seen them. They're in Coburg, Brighton, Colborne, Port Hope, and Bewdley right now. And it's a project that encourages the creation and delivery of art throughout the community, making art accessible to all while encouraging community engagement. And they're just like the little libraries, but it's a little art gallery. Just wanted to give you that update.
Deputy Mayor Gibson.
Hi, Jennifer. So through you, Mayor Latchford. Jennifer, the mini art gallery, you gave a date that it was going to be opened up?
Oh, did I have a date?
Yes.
Yeah, and no, it'll go in before, I don't have a date yet. I was just confirming location with the committee last night and then with Northumberland Art Gallery this week, and it'll be installed before the ground freezes, so soon.
And no cost to people coming in? There's not a fee?
No cost.
Yeah.
No, it's it'll be outside. It's small and it'll come with artwork already inside, and then the community is invited to take a piece of art or leave a piece of art.
Okay, good.
It's all free. It's a project that the Art Gallery of Northumberland put together, and there's, like I said, there's community sponsors within Coburg, Brighton, Colburn, Port Hope, and Bewdley. So I just reached out to see if the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman could be a part of this as well.
That's great. Thanks for doing that. It's nice to see that going in at the Civic Center.
Yes.
Jennifer, the 3 attendants that were hired for the facilities as screeners, there's been no issues to report on that?
No, I'm happy to say that the public's been very respectful and the process has been going smoothly.
Great. Thank you.
Councillor Phillip?
Thank you, and through the mayor. Jennifer, my question is around the art initiative as well. And I was wondering if there was any links to any retail opportunities as a result of this project that you're taking on.
So for artists to sell their work, is that what you're asking? Or
Yeah, yes.
yeah, it's this initiative is meant to be free, but I guess you could encourage people to seek out, like if they have picked up a piece of artwork that is signed by a local artist, you know, they could encourage them to go on their website maybe and purchase additional art, just as a way to expose local artists. But the actual art that will be inside the mini art gallery is free.
Yeah, good. I'm always interested in promoting our local artists, and you know, if that is one of the things that can be accomplished, I would really be pleased to see that. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mike. This is an opportunity for to make people more aware of what's around that they could probably buy locally if they choose that type of a gift. It'll be just pictures of those, right, Jennifer? Pictures of.
It could be, yeah, it could be anything. It could be like a little, you know, 3D sculpture or a little piece of pottery or a little canvas. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Could be any kind of medium.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Booth?
Okay, just a quick question through you, your worship, to Jennifer. The arena, Jennifer, it talks about the total programming participants attended. Is that 53? Is that for public skate and stick and puck and things like that?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, and it was just for the 8 hours at the time that I wrote this report. Since then, there have been more, and I've been keeping track, and I'm happy to say that the programs so far have been well attended, especially the new family stick and puck that runs on Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay, so will this be a regular report then that we would get monthly in this type of format?
Yeah, it can be if you'd like to see this information monthly.
If possible, and what I'd like to see, if you can have maybe for the November one, is what are the available hours to be rented in the arena? And then how many hours is actually being rented? So for example, it says here that the rented hours were 65 hours, but what I'm really interested in is how many hours are we actually offering and what's the percentage that's being used? If that's possible for them.
Sure.
And then, sorry, and another thing to add on would be maybe then just giving us a total like you did there with, so at the end of November, how many people actually attended public skate, how many people actually attended stick and puck or family skate or things like that. So we have an idea of how many people are actually attending the public things too.
Yes, I can include that for the next month's report.
Should that be added to the motion? Yes. Okay, so we need to add those things to the motion, that there were two items requested. That this be done monthly with available hours and the number of hours that were rented and the total attendees at some of the events.
You wouldn't have
Yeah.
the numbers for
Yeah,
hockey or that, but hockey and that would come in under the hours used of the arena for the hours that were available.
okay, so this was moved by Sherry and seconded by Jim. Are you both in favor of that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. The next one, item 10.2, special events permit application, Grafton Christmas Market. Be it resolved that report number PC-2021-09 from Jennifer Steen, Parks and Recreation and Cultural Coordinator, dated November 4th, 2021, reads special events permit application, Grafton Christmas Market be received, and further that council direction is required. So can I get the motion on the floor, please? Can I have a mover? Councillor Phillip, second. Or do you just want to ask questions, council? You can take us through it, Jennifer. Go ahead.
Sure. So the Grafton Outdoor Christmas Market application states that the outdoor Christmas market was conceived as a way to bring together our wonderful village at Christmas time. It is intended as a mechanism for small businesses, artisans, and crafters in Northumberland to showcase their work in a safe outdoor setting in the context of a larger fundraising event for the schools, church, and library in Grafton. Staff and the Recreation and Culture Committee are supportive of this event and will be participating in the event with activities for families at the Haldeman Memorial Arena that day. I've consulted with the bylaw officer, the fire chief, manager of public works, and the CAO, and all have approved the application. And I've forwarded the application to the OPP Northumberland Attachment, the health unit, the County of Northumberland Transportation and Waste, and County of Northumberland Emergency Medical Services. Since I wrote the report, I have heard back from the OPP and the health unit, who have both signed off on the event as well. The organizer is asking for the fees associated with issuing this permit to be waived. The application states the event is being organized entirely by volunteers and all proceeds will be retained by the community-based organizations planning the event. As a non-for-profit community-based event, we are requesting that the special events fee be waived. So the amount for this application would normally be $750, with $500 of that amount being a refundable deposit. They're also requesting the closure of Old Danforth Road from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, December 4th, to hold an artisan/farmers market at the north end of Old Danforth Road.
Looking for comments there. Jen? Yeah, it's Mike through the mayor. Jen? Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, I can hear you, Councillor Phillip.
Yeah, through the mayor, I'd just like to say, this sounds fantastic. I love it. It's a great idea. I love the fact that our township has the opportunity to come together here. I love the involvement of the schools as well. Kudos to the rec committee. for seeding this idea and supporting the project. I'm looking very much forward to seeing this, and I think this could really take off, and it will be a nice cornerstone or pillar for our community from year to year. So thank you very much, and please extend my thanks to the community, and I certainly hope it flies. Thank you.
Issue with waiving the fee. And that's for, is that for the road closure, Troy? What's that fee?
What's the fee for, Jen? I don't think it's for road closure, is it?
There is cost to that, I think.
There is an application. Oh, sorry. Internet connections is not the greatest for me today. I think Darryl can speak to it probably better, but there is a basic application fee, and then he can speak to the deposit fee.
Yeah, so thanks. So they just applied for a special events permit through the special events bylaw, and that fee is the fee that's on the schedule attached to the special events permit. The $500 is a recoverable deposit, and I think it was $150 or is it $250 for the application fee?
I think the basic application fee was $150.
$150, yeah. So that just goes along with our special events permit.
Well, I thought the fee is $250.
Yeah, I would have to, I'd have to pull the permit application out here, but I think there's an application fee of, if you can give me a minute, I can answer that for you.
So there's the special events. Of us, page 39.
So Schedule D of our special events permits, there's a basic fee of $150. There's a non-motorized or non-musical event daily fee of $100, and then the municipal cost recovery fee of $500. So it's the daily fee of the $100 plus the basic fee of $150 and the cost recovery of $500.
Refundable deposit, the 500, as long as everything goes well, right?
Correct.
They're
Yes.
getting that full amount back.
Correct.
Okay. I just have a little issue that I think needs to be discussed about waiving fees. I know it's council's decision whether or not the fees get waived. But what about the setup on the Saturday? Who's responsible for that? Our Public Works?
Yes, it would be our Public Works Department.
And we'll be paying that staff to set up and take down.
Correct, yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Yes. So we have those costs times 2 or times 1?
just the once.
One staff. Okay. And we're also giving the arena free for this event with a few other things around with it, which is fine.
The arena will be open for public skating, and that's being sponsored by a local real estate agent.
Okay. So it's open for washrooms as well then. That's good. Market. And this is the part that I'm concerned about. We rent out our facilities for craft shows and special events, and the vendors pay the fees to cover those costs. And I think that this is the same thing, only it's outdoors. They're going to be charging vendors to participate. And I'm just looking at the balance of being fair between having craft shows or events rented at our community centers and them paying rent, as opposed, and with this one, the same thing, it's vendors selling their wares, paying a vendor's fee and nothing coming back to the municipality. To the others that are putting on similar shows. A great project. I'm looking forward to attending. But I've been in enough shows too that paying your vendors fees and selling.
Yeah, okay. Yes, thank you. Through the mayor. I too am having a little trouble with hearing the initial chat at the beginning of a conversation. Anyway, I do get the gist of what the mayor is saying. And just for clarification, if there's an opportunity to make money at this in a business or private way, you're saying that they should be paying a vendor's fee. If it's a service that the township provides,
They are paying a vendor's fee to the organizer, right? So that's the person organizing. It's going to that group, the vendor's fees. Well, usually your vendor's fees cover a lot of your costs. They're the most, all your costs when you're putting something like this on. Plus, we're
so
paying, if we give this for free, we're paying a staff person overtime on a Saturday too.
Mhm. But we are getting vendors' fees back to the Culture and Rec Committee, correct?
No, it's not coming to the committee.
Where are those fees coming to?
That would be
The
the
applicant at the school.
I did not hear that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The
Go
fees
ahead,
would be,
Jennifer.
Yes, the fees would, I'm not sure how they're being dispersed, but exactly, but they would go back to all of the non-for-profit organizations that are participating. So it's a fundraiser for Grafton Public School, St. Mary's Catholic Elementary School, St. Andrew's Church, and sorry, I'm just seeing if I'm missing anybody, and the Grafton branch of the library.
okay. I understand that, and I guess.
I got another speaker here, Mike. Just hang on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
No.
Counselor Phillip, can you maybe just turn the volume up on your laptop? That may be the issue.
Yeah, I'm at 78%, but I'll push it up to 80, 89. How's that?
I
Yes.
see the Grafton Outdoor Christmas Market as a great opportunity for a lot of our community organizations to get together and provide a social event around the holiday season for the benefit of the community. And, you know, we've got a sponsor for it. I don't know that anywhere in that report it indicates that the vendors will be paying a fee to participate. I think that's an unknown to us. I would have to presume at this time that we're not aware that there's a vendor fee. And when I look at the list of participants and the fact that this has been a terrible year for many nonprofit organizations for fundraising, I just think it's a win-win, and it's something that we should be supporting as a township.
Jerry. But is there a vendor's fee, Jennifer?
I just got a message from the applicant. Actually, there is a vendor's fee, and that those fees are going to the Grafton Public School Parent Council for purchase of new computers for the school. She just wanted to clarify that.
Right.
But that's fine, but that means that's okay that it's doing that, but a vendor's fee pays your expenses normally. So if the vendor's fee in that school is organizing that, they're basically like, why wouldn't the vendors then be in the school, in the gym?
I may, Mayor, because it's an outdoor market and we're still in COVID restrictions, we're limiting indoor activities. So I think I think it's a great concept.
I think
be
it's a great
outdoor.
concept too, but I'm just saying, is it fair to other organizations or people who have the expenses to pay? At any, like, I'm sure Jim has expenses to pay at the market.
Not through you, Mayor. I know that I've been on the Coburg Market Council over the years, and roughly 2/3 of what our vendors fee for the year has to go to insurance. And I just wondered, is that an issue here? Or does it apply here?
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing. I can tell you that the event, all of the insurance for the event is also being covered by the local sponsor. The same local real estate agent is covering all insurance costs.
That's good. That's very generous. So my issue is the fairness of it overall when somebody else comes in and wants to do something, and whether or not the fee is waived or reduced. It comes out of council's budget. So the taxpayers are paying it. It's not. Bring it to light, because if it gets waived this year, maybe they should consider, if they're doing it another year, that we can't always give free.
Your worship, maybe to Brian, there's no cost to us for the public skating or that. So there's no cost at the arena and that, because that's on a regular public skating, right? Jennifer?
No, you got a sponsor for that.
Okay, so there's no cost to the arena. So the only cost that we're looking at is the waiving of the permit, which is $250. And Brian, it would be your expense. What's the expense of the works department? Are they putting up cones or something to close something on that day, or what's the actual expense to the town?
There would
So
really
overtime
just be the 3-hour call out, but we would put the stuff up before we left on the one day of work on the Thursday or Friday morning. So staff are pretty good that way and would only charge the one call out versus the 2 call outs.
What's the approximate cost of that? We're looking at, it's $100 or something? Is it?
Yeah,
on a Saturday? Double?
that'd be close. Yeah, about 100. Yeah, it'd be $100. Close.
So really, we're not talking about, a lot of money. I agree with your point, because when it comes to money, I don't like, but I agree with the deputy mayor that it's something that they've got a lot of sponsors. They're paying for the insurance. They've got people paying for the public skate and everything. So we're really looking at about $300 or $400 or something. I would be in support of it, and I agree with your comment that maybe next year they could look at, if they're going to build on this, that you know, as all groups that are asking for free stuff from the town, is that they look at maybe the first year is seed money to get them going. And then next year it'll be looked at that the town would hope that they'd be able to at least pay the cost that it's costing the town.
Yes, I agree. Because we've had this issue before and we've had quite a bit of discussion on it in years past. So I think that the group needs to be very aware of this issue.
Not like anybody's making money, right? If it's all going to charity or for a good cause for the school or that, then that's fine. It's not like they're charging vendors fees and then somebody is walking away with some money. I know we've had issues before with a request to use the arena, and it was literally costing us thousands of dollars because we had to staff it all day with 3 people, and it turned into a big circus type event thing, which was fundraising too, but it cost the town $1,000 for them to raise $5,000 or $6,000, and that I would disagree. But this one sounds like a good cause.
And as a result of the former, nothing ever came back to the township year over year. So I think it's being careful for the taxpayers as well. I'm happy with the event. So I need the decision on Deputy Mayor.
And through you, and I'm just gonna probably one last little point that I'm not sure I got out the first time, and I fully agree to Mayor Latchford with your comments, but I don't think in this time and climate we can underestimate the value of bringing the community together for some fun and you know, some spirit, and in the end raise money for organizations that are actually right in our community.
I agree. I'm fine.
So my decision, like my thought would be to approve the request to waive the fee.
I'll
Made the
second that if
motion
that's a
and Jim-
motion.
No, Mike made it and Jim seconded the motion. And, you know, maybe we need a policy on these sorts of things as, because we've talked about it a few times, having that first year help out. And then after that, it's the cost. Because they continue, you know, they continue to go at year over year, whether they're groups or whether they're private. But that doesn't need to be in this motion. So you're okay with that, Mike? And Jim,
I support the
to
motion, yes. To
waive the fee
Yes,
for 2021.
yes.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? Good discussion. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Oh, 10.3, be it resolved that report number PC 2021-10 from Jennifer Steen, Parks, Recreation and Cultural Coordinator, dated November 4th, 2021, fee review and proposed fee schedule for community centers be received, and further that council direction is required. I have a motion to get this on the floor, please. Deputy Mayor Gibson. Okay. Jennifer.
Thank you. So this is a similar report that I brought to council previously. It represents a 5% increase in fees from the current fee schedule. And it also changes for the rental fee schedule for including half-day rentals and full-day rentals. It also has in there a nonprofit subsidy, so 25% off of applicable rental fees for non-for-profit groups. And I did define non-for-profit organizations as associations, clubs, or societies that are not charities and are organized and operated exclusively for social welfare, civic improvement, pleasure, recreation, or any other purpose except profit. I have brought this forth to the Recreation and Culture Advisory Committee, and they have approved this fee schedule, but they would like to see the kitchen fee removed for the Vernonville Community Center, as it is not a cooking kitchen. It is just used to heat and warm items. It doesn't have the appropriate number of sinks to be considered a certified kitchen through public health. So they thought the fee for that should be removed, and it should be noted that no cooking can happen at that kitchen. I'd be looking at implementing these fees if approved for January 1st, 2022.
Questions? Comments? Jerry?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Latchford. And Jen, I'm glad that Parks and Recreation discussed this and it's good to know they've agreed with it. And I'm also in favor of removing that kitchen fee from Vernonville, given that it's basically, you know, a refrigerator, and there's not the ability to cater in there.
Councillor Phillips?
I agree with the deputy mayor, so I don't need to say anything more.
You're kidding. Okay. So your nonprofit, are they registered, Jennifer? Registered nonprofit?
No, it just says, I'm just use the definition that was provided by the Canada Revenue Agency there. So organizations, associations, clubs, or societies that are not charities and are organized and operated exclusively for social welfare, civic improvement, pleasure, recreation, or any other purpose except profit. So if they fall within that definition.
Okay. So I just have a couple other points here. In the fee schedules with the, you've got booking deposit as 50% of the fee. I didn't see any damage deposit, refundable damage deposits. Not only for the rentals, but for the sound system. I think we paid a lot of money for those sound systems, and they're being rented at $50 an event, but we also had damage or loss deposit on them because they're pretty expensive to replace or fix. So I'd like to see that go back on. We've had it on all the committees for the sound system and for rentals, refundable deposits. The other ones, a lot of them in the municipalities have refundable deposits on the rent. Going to go missing. We don't know when something's going to be damaged. And if we have a $200 check or whatever figure council wants, at least you've got something to pay those costs, because there are times when that money's, you know, there are things to fix after a big event. The sound system is, it's so easy for, if there was a group there using it and they had their own equipment, I'm not saying they're stealing it. They could easily just pick up a mic and put it in their bags or a cord, and that's gone. So there's, you know, 150, 200 bucks for us to replace. What do you think, council, with refundable deposits on those two items, the rent and the sound systems?
I don't think you'd have to separate it out to say one for the sound system too. If you if it's $200 deposit that you collect, if they're renting the sound system, then that $200 could be applied towards there. So, you know, I would be fine with that. That's done in other municipalities too. As you said, it's quite hard once you go in and you clean the room, and if you find damage, to try and get money back from somebody once they've used the room and they're gone.
Yeah. It's just insurance for the municipality.
And
Any, go
just
ahead.
one other thing, Jennifer, would a church then be considered a nonprofit subsidy?
Um,
Would that be?
I'm not sure if they fall within that, in that category.
Because it's a pretty general category, right? I mean, they could argue that it's exclusively for the social welfare. I'm just wondering, I mean, you'll probably have that come up. There are a lot of churches that I find rent community centers and that because it's cost effective for them instead of having their own building.
Mhm. There is, in the proposed fee schedule, it does say, under the not-for-profit one, there's special events / multiple bookings, and that those would be done by agreement, and those agreements can come to council. So, for instance, maybe some of the longstanding organizations that have been renting the community centers, or perhaps a church could fall under that, and those could be addressed separately outside of this fee schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Fenella and ACC so close together in rents, and what I'd like to see at some point is they be equal. And that may come in another year or so. You know, you talk about upper and lower licensed events in Fenella, 8 hours or less. Well, if it's a full hall, there's not much difference between ACC and the community center room in the rents. And that way it saves the competition between those two halls if they're the same. So just something maybe to look at in the future. Funerals, are they on here? Or they were on the other one? We're no longer giving funerals for free.
No, and I think the discussion was really whatever you're renting the room for. I don't think we wanted to get away from birthday parties, Jack and
Yeah.
Jill's, funerals. I mean, you could have anybody saying, oh, it's a funeral, or if it's a wake or something like that, and it could end up being a birthday party too. So what you rent the room for, to me, is no concern as the facility manager, right? You're renting the room, you pay the fee, whether it's a birthday party or a funeral or whatever.
I agree. That's good. I'm glad it's not on there as no charge. Okay, anything else or any other comments? To add. What was we gonna add? I can't remember. Oh, the Vernonville Community Center kitchen, we were going to remove the $20 fee for it because it's not really a kitchen. And add deposits for rentals and sound systems. General at any place you go. When I rented at Harwood's for a family reunion, I had to do a non-refundable or a refundable deposit fee just for having the rent. And we had to rent the kitchen if we wanted to use it to cook and use the dish, and the dishes were extra and the whole things were extra. So we don't want to get behind on that stuff. It's hard to catch up. Okay, so are you all right with that motion then? Jim and Sherry, remove VCC kitchen and add deposit on the rentals and sound systems, refundable. Yeah.
Could We add a dollar amount for that deposit, so it's not open-ended.
200?
I'm okay with, I'm fine with that.
250 if you look at the fee reviews of the other townships.
Well, that's fine too, 250.
Well, I think it depends on, I know you don't want to say what it is, but there's a big difference between a wedding and a Jack and Jill compared to,
Well, I'm just looking at
Funeral.
like Trent Hills, Campbellford,
Yeah.
Warkworth Arena, Hastings Civic Center, they're all $250 damage deposit.
yeah,
Most people are gonna get that back anyway, right? I think a little bit higher is better than lower.
yeah.
I agree.
And Brighton charged $100 a day or $100 on their sound system, refundable. So we're not out of line with doing that. Refundable deposits on the, more on the bigger events. I don't know whether you need, do we need it for a bridal shower?
I don't think you can
Don't distinguish. It's
distinguish.
No.
it,
Gotta
like,
be everything.
got to
yeah.
be everything.
Somebody can put their hand through a piece of drywall on a bridal shower or in a funeral, so.
those-
Okay.
Those
depending on what
in-laws.
family you're
On the
in.
dance. Okay, so 250? $250 refundable deposits on rentals. And I guess if you want that to include the sound system other than, and not have a separate one for the sound system.
No.
I don't think you need it to say sound system. Nobody else does. I mean, if they're not renting the sound system, they don't have access to it, they can't
Okay.
be responsible. for
All
it.
right. I'm
Just
good.
one question then. So Jennifer, that is refundable after one of our staff goes in there and they clean the hall and they've checked the washrooms and everything like that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of work. Item 11 is treasury. Council report from Carol James, Deputy CAO Manager of Finance and HR. Be it resolved, this is revised budget timelines for 2022's budget. Be it resolved that council report number F 2021-11 from Carol James, Deputy CAO Manager of Finance, HR, dated November 4th, 2021, re-revised 2022 budget timelines, be received and approved. So Carol, so we've got 2 full day sessions and she changed the dates. Where did I see the dates?
It's November 22nd and 23rd.
November 22nd and 23rd. Does that work for everybody's schedules? Yeah. Good for you, Mike?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Is there anything further you wish to say on this, Carol?
No, I just wanted to get these timelines down.
All right, thanks. Can I have a mover, please? Jim, second by Deputy Mayor Gibson. All in favor? Carried. You're booked. Oh, there's the dates on the next page. So item 12 is our committee reports. Grafton Communal Water Committee meetings of September 8th. Lower Trent Conservation Regular Board meeting September 9th. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority minutes September 16th. I'll read the motion. This is to receive and file all of them in the same motion. Be it resolved that the Grafton Communal Water Committee meeting minutes of September 8th, the Lower Trent Conservation Regular Board meeting minutes of September 9th, and the Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority minutes of the Board of Directors of September 16th, 21, be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Counselor Hogg, second. Counselor Phillip. Any comments or questions on any of these, council? Seeing none? All in favor? Carried. Item 13 is the communications that we'll deal with individually. Geocamp Limited, and this is Grafton monitoring wells and the BTEX detection. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Geocamp Limited dated October 15th, 2021, re Grafton monitoring wells and BTEX detection update regarding September sampling be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Phillip, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson, any questions or comments? Favor? Carried. Correspondence from Larry, manager of the water capital projects, Grafton drinking water. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Larry Saprika, manager of water capital projects, Lucy, re-Grafton drinking water system report, June 2021 to September 2021, be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hogg, second. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Booth. Any questions or comments on this report? Are they worried about consistency, Greg?
Where, in the drinking water report?
Yeah. No, they're fine. All in favor or any comments? Okay, we're done. We're voted. 13.2, correspondence from Elaine Skinner, CEO of our library, request for COVID funding for increased sanitation procedures. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Elaine Skinner, CEO, Alma Calderman Public Library, dated October 19th, 2021, request for COVID funding for increased sanitation procedures be received. And further that this one needs council direction. So we'll get the motion on the floor. Greg, second. Councillor Phillip. Is Elaine here? Okay. Would you like to speak to this, Elaine?
Sure. Do I need to have my camera on?
It's up to you.
Okay, there we go. Yes, since the onset of COVID, once we were allowed to open to the public, we introduced 30-minute COVID cleaning between shifts, just to make sure everything was sanitized, because we have different staff working in each branch. So it was an extra hit to our budget that we didn't really expect. But we will be phasing it out for January, at the beginning of January 2022.
Is it necessary now?
Probably not, but it is. I don't know if it's a comfort for staff so that they feel safer between other staff being in there, but we could probably phase it out now. But I would have to get direction from the board first, I think.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking with the vaccinations, the majority vaccinated, and the fact the numbers are so low now in this area.
Yeah.
In our health region, which is Lindsay and Halliburton and us.
Yeah.
The numbers are quite low. Well, maybe if you talk it over with them, see what they say.
Yeah. Well, we'll have the board meeting on Monday, so.
Okay. So do we have an idea of the funding, the dollar amount?
It's in the letter.
So this is extra.
Yeah, that's the cost of the COVID cleaning since implementation.
Okay. Thank you. Council,
Question?
Councillor Booth.
Go ahead with Mike, he's on the.
Okay, Councillor Philip.
Thank you, and through the mayor. Elaine, this is a question for you. I know that that the library board requested an initial piece of funding about a year ago for plexiglass and all of that kind of stuff. Is this being taken into account in this follow-up request? Because this would be your second request, if I'm not correct. Please inform me.
Yeah, this is our second request. There was a request to cover the plexiglass and other items at the end of last year. I was off sick at that point, so.
Yes.
But I do know it was made, and we did receive the money. We did
Yes.
receive the funding.
Okay, well, we
Okay.
can,
And that funding has now been spent and you require a second installment. Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yes, to cover the cost to the of
Okay.
the extra wages for the COVID cleaning.
Okay, so so given that we're coming to an end in terms of maybe the COVID cleaning, would that reflect on the number that you requested?
So this number that I've requested for, we've requested coverage for the part of the year 2020 and up to pay period 21, which would have been the end of October of this year,
Okay.
as
So
it
that
states in the letter.
So that number stays the same.
Yeah.
The request stays the same. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
okay, Councillor Booth.
Yeah, through you, your worship, to just for some clarity to Elaine. So the amount of money that you received from us last year had nothing to do with wages. It was just plexiglass and things like that, workstations and that, right?
Yeah, it was the plexiglass and there were some computers for staff to be able to work from home.
Yeah, which is fine. And I believe all departments receive that. I guess the concerning part to me here is that we're looking now at wages, and you're asking for last year's wages and this year's wages. So if we go back to last year, your budget for wages was 134,200, and the library only spent 111, which left $22,000 left over, which goes back into your reserves. I find it kind of ironic that then the library would come to us and say that they want $2,000 something for wages that they didn't budget it for, when you didn't even use up all your wages. This is not on you, Elaine, it's the library board. I guess it needs to be discussed with, but if you were given 134,000 and you didn't even spend it all, I don't know how the library can come to us and say, we've incurred extra expenses. We'd like $2,000 due to the extra cleaning. And it's like, you didn't even spend the money you asked for. So that I find a little weird, I guess. This year I can understand. It looks like your budget is going to go over probably $4,000 to $5,000 over the budgeted amount. And that's more than likely due to the COVID cleaning, which would be fine. At the end of the year, if the library came to us and asked for the money to cover that, I would have no issue with it at all. But I do have an issue with asking for last year's money when the money wasn't even spent that you were given.
Yes, I understand that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe through you, your worship, to Carol, was there any department last year in the town, Carol? And I'm thinking more the arena, because the arena actually had to hire extra staff due to COVID. Did they use up all of their budget for wages last year, the arena, Carol?
No, nobody used up all their wages last year. We had a surplus for wages, so
So did any department get any COVID money for wages last year?
not for 2020, no.
Okay. And there might be some for this year, right?
I'm going to look at the arena this year, because I know that they've had to have extra people, extra cleaning and stuff, so I believe that they may be over, so I have to look at them.
Okay, so I think it just reinforces my point that last year, because a lot of things shut down, we didn't spend a lot of the staff wages, especially when it came to part-time staff and that. This year will be different. So I would be in favor of paying the money for COVID for this year's expenses for the library because they're going to go over budget. But I wouldn't be in favor of paying the $2,477 to them for last year.
Nice.
This year that the library is going to come to us, and it looks like they're more than likely, Carol, going to be over budget this year by $4,000 or $5,000 in wages, right?
What happened?
Yeah, I think they are. I think there's going to be an overage, and that is probably just due to the actual cleaning that they've been doing, the extra cleaning.
Yeah. So that's fine to take money out of the COVID budget to pay for that because they went over budget from what they asked. But to come to us and ask for money for last year going over, they didn't go over because they didn't spend all their money. Extra cleaning from pay period 16 to 26 last year, they still didn't spend all their money. So I don't see how you can come to us and ask us for more money due to extra costs when you didn't even spend the money we gave you. It's almost like you're double dipping.
Yeah, that's fair. I
So
understand.
that would, that amount, was it paid out last year then?
No, we
No,
didn't pay any
because-
wages last year. We only paid for furniture and equipment and things like that.
Okay. Do we have the funds, Carol, in the COVID budget?
Yes,
To-
definitely. We've got funds.
So we could pay that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would encourage them to end that half hour or that extra time, like how many times in a day?
It's once per shift. So it depends on the branch. So it's about 3 branches, about 3 shifts a week at each branch.
3 shifts, so 9 shifts.
Yeah.
So it's once a day.
Yeah.
Okay. I would hope that could end quickly. But I'm just, if it was a time when it couldn't end, when COVID was still rampant, I guess there was rampant as it got here, but it's not now. Okay, so council, what's the final decision? Sherry? I get a crook neck here.
Through you, Mayor Latchford, to Elaine. And it's nice to see you, Elaine. And I think a big thanks goes to the library staff for taking on those additional duties over this past year. It's been a tough year, and I think, I speak for everybody to say we appreciate the extra work that went into keeping our facilities clean and open. I am wondering if the board has investigated any other sources of funding for COVID expenses, or whether this is just your first ask coming to the township to bridge that deficit.
This is our first ask. As far as I can tell, there aren't many funding opportunities for COVID for libraries other than programming.
Okay. Thank you.
just a correction, there's no deficit. Just
No, okay.
probably the wrong word to use. There's no deficit, right? Actually, the library banked $22,000 last year in wages that went back. So I mean, I support 100% the cleaning and everything like that, but it's not like the library's out any money. They actually saved $22,000.
Yeah. And that probably is the incorrect use of that word, but I'm hoping everybody got the gist of what I was trying to say there.
Your motion, Greg. We need council's direction.
I would make if the person that made the original motion, if they're willing to an amendment to it or something that.
You made it.
Oh, did I? Okay. That we not pay 2020's request, but fully support the 2021 request. And it's probably best, Elaine, that we wait until the end of the year when you come to Carol and say we're over 5,000 or whatever it is in your wages, and then fine, we would pay that out of the COVID fund. I would have no problem with that at all.
Okay.
Mike, you're the seconder for that motion. Do you agree?
I support that motion.
Okay. Any further comments or questions from council? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Item 13.4, this is correspondence from Steve Lapp, Blue Dot Northumberland Volunteers. Recent issues surrounding development and MZO requests. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Steve Lapp, Blue Dot Northumberland Volunteers dated October 25th, 2021, recent issues surrounding development and MZO requests be received, and further that council forward the correspondence to staff recommending that a report be prepared for council and presented at a future council meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Five. Correspondence from the City of Vaughan, a resolution endorsing National Teen Driver Safety Week and requesting the Ministry of Transportation to review such measures impacting newly licensed drivers. Be it resolved that the correspondence from the City of Vaughan, resolution endorsing National Teen Driver Safety Week and requesting the Ministry of Transportation to review measures impacting newly licensed drivers be received, and further I need council's direction on this one. Have a mover, please. What's the choice? Deputy Mayor Gibson?
Well, I would like to support the City of Vaughan in this motion, and I guess that's up for discussion about who that goes to. Certainly the province and
Other municipalities?
yeah, the OPP and other municipalities. And I would say that we would probably just copy the resolution that Vaughan has made. I think it's really important, and you know, I don't think that we can do enough educating, you know, coming from somebody that has had 4 kids go through the process. And, you know, we lost a nephew to a motor vehicle accident when he was a teenager. So, you know, I think the education is important, and, you know, so I'm in full support of it.
Can I have a second? Councillor Hogg? I think it's a very good idea as well. And also, Pat, maybe it could go to the Police Services Board for just for information that we've moved it on. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Item 13.6, this is from Enbridge Gas dated October 20th. OEB notice of application for the 2022 federal carbon pricing program application. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Enbridge Gas Inc. dated October 20th, 2021, OEB notice of application, 2022 federal carbon pricing program application be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Booth. Second, Councillor Philp. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Seven, the Ontario East Economic Development Commission dated October 20th, 2021, media release. This was the Ontario East Economic Development Officer of the Year announced at the Ontario East Municipal Conference. And she was from the town of Kingston, and her name is Donna Gillespie, CEO of the Kingston Economic Development Corporation. And the Office of MPP David Passini dated October 28th, 21, re-lifting capacity limits for outdoor organized public events such as parades. Be it resolved that the following correspondence be received and filed. The Ontario East Economic Development Commission dated October 20th, 2021, media release. Ontario East Economic Development Officer of the Year announced at the Ontario East Municipal Conference. The Office of MPP David Passini dated October 28th, 2021, the lifting capacity limits for outdoor organized public events such as parades. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Councillor Hogg. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. So now we're into our bylaws, item 14. The first bylaw is bylaw number 118, 2021. And this is application to delete a road allowance agreement. So I'll read it within the motion. Be it resolved that bylaw number 118-2021, being a bylaw to authorize the signing and execution of a consent for an application to delete a road allowance agreement registered as instrument number CB55594 on May 12, 1970, from the parcel registered of PIN 51140-0325 LT bracketed, described as part of Lot 4 Concession A Haldeman, being Part 1 on 39R13884, be read and deemed to be passed this 4th day of November 2021. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Another second. Jim? Councillor Hogg? All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 119-2021. This is a bylaw to authorize the signing and execution between the Township of Alderman and Her Majesty the Queen in right of Ontario, represented by the Director of Titles. So we're straightening something else up here as well. Be it resolved that bylaw number 119-2021, being a bylaw to authorize the signing and execution of an agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Alderman and Her Majesty the Queen in right of Ontario, represented by the Director of Titles, to indemnify the Land Titles Assurance Fund relative to the registration of a deposit to apply to have parcel register for PIN 51121-0206, amended by converting title from registry to land titles conversion qualified, be read and deemed to be passed this 4th day of November 2021. Mover, please. second. Counselor Booth, all in favor? Carried. So the other thing, item 15 now is training presentations. And this is 15.1 is accessibility training by Kevin Dugway of Kevin M. Dugway Community Planning and Consulting. Be it resolved that council permit Kevin Dugway of Kevin M. Dugway Community Planning and Consulting, Inc. to take the floor to present accessibility training to senior staff and council. Do I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second by Councillor Philip. Okay, all in favor? Carried. There you are. Hello, Mr. Dugay.
Yes, hello, your worship, members of council. I'm assuming everybody can see me and hear me, yes?
Yes, we can.
Are
Welcome
you?
to our township.
Well, thank you. I was listening to your previous debate, and I can tell you, I'm mindful of all the times I spent Monday evenings, Tuesday evenings in City Hall Council chambers as their planner. Admittedly, I don't miss some of that, but nonetheless, I know it's important business. Are you able to, are you sharing my presentation or am I sharing? How do you want to proceed with that? Because I was sent it to Yolanda sometime previous.
Yolanda has shared the screen here.
Okay, because I'm not able to see it here.
Okay, so you can go ahead and present because we
I'll
have.
present. I have my presentation in front of me. I'll just walk council through it if I could. I would like to start off, if I could, by thanking the municipality for the opportunity to present. As a professional planner, I have conducted accessibility training, customer service training, and the like throughout Ontario and Canada for some time. And that work, my experience started in the municipality or in Peterborough by way of a city councillor, Lois Hart Maxwell, born with polio. And there was at a time where she was attending a public meeting, then not yet as an elected official. And she was advised, she and some of her colleagues had difficulties entering council chambers. The municipal response at the time was, next time you attend, we'll have the firemen carry you up from the ground floor into the council chambers. And arising from that, then Lois is elected. The city of Peterborough takes a lead in accessibility planning. And as the city's planner, I ended up following that and have been involved in that sort of regime for the last 30 years and counting. I'm wondering to what extent if city council and staff were aware of the recent G26 summit where the representative from Israel was not able to get into the meeting facility. I don't know if anybody saw that media release. So she travels from Israel, special train, travel arrangements, arrives to Europe and cannot physically get into the meeting chambers at one of the international summits. And that brought to my attention the ongoing challenges that persons with disabilities continue to face throughout the world. What we're going to focus on today is very basic. It's one of the 4 standards prescribed through the provincial legislation, and that is customer service training. To prepare for this presentation, I reviewed your municipal access plan. I reviewed some of the steps that you've been taking. Congratulations in this regard towards the creation of barrier-free built environment. I have reviewed up some of your other documents as well. And again, I see some measures have been undertaken over time to respond to the various provincial legislation. We're going to hop to the second screen. You just have to bear with me here. I need to go to my document. I'm just having a difficulty opening mine.
Kevin, can you
Yes.
share your screen?
That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going back to
Okay.
the file as we speak.
Okay, thank you.
I realize I'm looking at it and just bear with me. just have to give me a moment. I'm sorry, I'm having to close several files and reopen your file. All right, I have opened a document. I'll go back to Zoom. And I'm going to share screen. And I'm assuming now everybody can see this document. Yes?
You've got it, Yolanda? Yes, we got it.
Excellent, thank you. So I'm going to go to the second. This will be, the outline will be to talk about the provincial standard and to talk a little bit about universal design, very basics of the principles of universal design. So there are 4 principles of the accessible customer service in general. One is dignity, the other is independence, third is integration, fourth is equal opportunity. So I want to speak to the first one about dignity. You have to imagine that international representative attending the G26 conference and is not able to actually access the building. It's not particularly dignifying. And her sense of independence has been substantially diminished. And then you notice about integration and equal opportunity. Those principles come into play in that one significant example of creating barrier-free environments. So the customer service standard has been in place for some time, and it's of the standards the province has imposed, it's the simplest and most straightforward. It's really speaking to what you should do as a municipality, as elected officials, as staff, to serve customers who have disabilities. The province has several good resources, monthly newsletters, and for those that are seeking municipal re-election, they will have very important guidelines with respect to the election programs, brochures, pamphlets, meetings, and the like. And that's important in terms of serving customers. So the municipalities and private sectors, there are certain things that you're obliged to do is to document in writing your policies, your practices and procedures. I've reviewed your website. You are doing that. You are to notify your customers that documents required under the standard are available upon request. You're doing that. And that documents required under the standard, and you provide information that can take into account their disability. Now, there are varying degrees and a multiplicity of disabilities in terms of somebody's ability to read, hear, or see a document. It may be possible that somebody could approach a municipality, make a particular request for a document format that you might not have available or simply cannot provide. For example, documents in Braille. It may not be possible for you to provide that. And the standard is sensitive to that reality. Some of the simple steps the province is telling us, and I've learned in dealing with persons with disabilities, is simply saying, asking, how may I help you? And not to assume that that person in a wheelchair, that person using a cane, that person using a working dog necessarily needs help. The requirements of the standard itself are to establish policies, practices on providing goods and services to people with disabilities, persons with disabilities. Your municipality is doing that, to use reasonable efforts to ensure that those policies and practices, procedures are consistent with those 4 core principles I outlined previously. You need to set a policy to allow persons to use their own personal assistive devices to access goods and services you are providing. That could include hearing devices, for example. There was a time when this standard was being introduced that there was different ways of providing hearing assistive equipment. So this was basically saying you have to let the person attending bring their equipment to be able to hear, see, or listen to a meeting, and to communicate with a person with a disability in a manner that takes into account his or her disability. Allow persons with disabilities to be accompanied by their guide dog. This has been a matter, both service dogs, guide dogs, has been a matter that has been in the provincial court several times, where certain restaurant owners and others did not allow a permitted guide dog to access facility. And it went to court, provincial level, Supreme Court level, and in every case, the person with disability was able to defend the use of their dog. That photograph, incidentally, the bottom photograph, it's one of my favorites. It's staff. They're actually working, in this case, in Vancouver, and this is their dogs being taught how to learn to use the transit and rail system. I think it's just a phenomenal photo. The sixth principle is about permitting persons with disability to have a support person to bring them as they, accessing goods and services. My mother, when she travels, and my wife's mother, who's recently passed, both would have required, and my mom still requires, a support person to help her access certain train services and the like. Where admission fees are charged, ahead of time, you let the public know whether or not that support person is charged. Most municipalities and private sectors allow the authorized support person to attend for free. There's not a second ticket charge. And to acknowledge if certain facilities and services that they rely upon are temporarily disrupted. To train staff and volunteers, contractors, and other persons, so key volunteers who interact with the public on your behalf. So that has that will encompass, for example, your volunteer firefighters. It could, for example, if you have volunteers that worked, for example, at library, Friends of the Library, some municipalities, we've conducted workshops for that group as well. To train staff volunteers and any other persons who are involved with developing policy so that they're aware of your core policies, and to establish a policy for feedback. That policy on feedback, I've reviewed your website, is available to the public. Now, I'm going to walk you quickly through the principles of universal design. And at its core, universal design, it simply means one design that's sustainable and it accommodates all persons. And this is particularly relevant in our built environment standards. So the principles are design of products and environments to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation, specialized device. I use this example, the paddle operated door. That's an example of a product that everybody can use. If I go to an arena, it's not pocket doors. I can use that paddle, bump it with my hockey bag or my elbow or my shoulder, and the door will open. So some of the first principle is equitable use. The design is useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities. So this is a pool that shows a ramped entrance and a gradual stepped entrance. So the design, everybody can use it to enter the same basin or a pool of water. The second principle is flexibility in use. Design accommodates a range of preference and abilities. This is actually a photograph from a large public square, and there's other photos showing how they've incorporated design so that all persons, young, old, able-bodied, disabled, and others are able to use the same facilities. So simple and intuitive use. The design is easy to understand regardless of experience, knowledge, skills, and current concentration. I would like to use this screen and that sign briefly for a moment. So the actual PowerPoint presentation follows this principle. So you have a strong color contrast in your screen and your letters. You do not use successive capitalization. You do not underline unless it needs to be an underline or represents a page break. That sign saying King Street is indicative of this principle. It's oversized, big letters, strong color contrast. At the time when that sign was introduced in Peterborough, our then mayor received more compliments on that sign than she did for most of the undertakings in that same calendar year. You could see that sign from 2 blocks away. And I'm sure everybody has had to travel to try to read street signs, and you can barely read them when you're looking at them, underneath the sign itself. So if council and staff are contemplating, for example, PowerPoint presentations, you use this principle in all of your presentation formats. Strong color contrast, do not use successive capitalization, and do not underline unless absolutely necessary. Perceptible information. So the design incorporates information effective to the user regardless of ambient conditions. So the notion of contoured and textured curb cuts and walkways to help person with, for example, low vision, be able to figure out where they should put their feet to cross a street safely. That's perceptible information. Tolerance for error. So the design minimizes hazards. So here's a handrail that has a full return to the body of the handrail instead of a handrail jutting out. That becomes a hazard, catching persons, particularly those with low vision. They often clip such protruding objects right at their hip. Low physical effort. This is an example of an elevator call button that was developed in Australia. And the call buttons are at the ground, and they're also at basically chest height. So there are two different call buttons, low physical effort, and that it's comfortable with the minimum fatigue. And then the idea about size and space and approach of use. So for example, your library, which you heard from, the ability of somebody perhaps sitting in a chair, wheelchair, and being able to reach across a counter or reach to a book, regardless of body size, posture, mobility. That's a very important principle. Now, I'm going to, so those are the principles of universal design. I have read your access plan, and it appears that your municipality has been undertaking to make improvements to your facilities, embracing those principles. So with respect to customer service, it extends to your 2022 municipal elections. So for candidates to be considerate of the layout, design, font of your brochures and handouts, consider your alternate formats. If you have a website, be considerate of your website and how information is portrayed, use of alternate formats in your communications, and using barrier-free venues for your presentations and debates. And your voting facilities, I know your municipality will be cognizant of this, but it's a reminder that we want to make sure that any poll stations where somebody's voting, they can get physically into that door on their own without assistance. Now, I have reviewed your municipality's plan, and again, congratulations are in order. You note that you're doing various things, a document format, training, audiobooks, phone systems to cite many. You've also proceeded with your accessible website and content. You're working on that, so congratulations. You've also indicated on your website that documents in accessible formats available, and you have a customer service feedback form. So all of the things the province is telling you what you're to do, you are doing, at least from my read of your municipal information. And then if staff or council have any more questions, there's my information. What I would be doing following this presentation is organizing a similar presentation for firefighters and other staff. Now, council may say, why a presentation to firefighters? I'm not going to tell them how to fight fires and save lives, but we can talk to them, for example, about if they're doing fire alarm education, and they may have brochures that they're making available to the public, the manner in which those are presented, alternate formats, perhaps even if they're having open houses to ensure venues are accessible. We just finished doing an accessible audit of Havelock, Belmont, Methuen, and their main fire hall. One of their priorities is to make the main entrance door fully accessible, and there will be modifying their main counter and administrative area as a result of that audit. And that's one of the main firefighting station of that municipality. So province has legislation. There are 4 different standards. Customer service is the basic. Your municipality, from my review, is meeting the requirements. One of the things you're supposed to do every council cycle is this presentation, and to make sure that any new staff and council are familiar with the standard and the other elements of provincial legislation. I now make myself available to council or staff should there be any questions, and thank you for hearing me out.
Kevin, that's good to hear. I'll just ask if council has any questions or comments. Greg? No. Mike, I can't see you on the screen, so.
No, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kevin. And it's nice that you brought the news. We're doing everything we can possibly do at this time. Good to hear.
Yeah, and one thing I might add is that I encourage municipalities, because I was listening to your library discussion around COVID requirements and cleaning. Who would have thought of that? But nonetheless, to continue to use this training, to use your access plan to seek out there are some limited pockets of funding from time to time for building work. So by virtue of having audits of your buildings and making sure you're up to snuff insofar as all the legislation can help you eventually, it facilitates you being able to potentially get what limited funding is available. It helps your eligibility.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll move on to item 16. And this is announcements or notice of motions.
Sorry, we should just have a motion to
Oh.
receive the presentation
Well, I got the motion.
for him to present, but you should have one to receive it.
Okay. Did we vote on the first one? I
Yep.
forget. We did. Okay.
Just a motion to receive that.
So I'm going to entertain a motion now that we received Mr. Dugay's presentation. And thank you for doing that. Moved by Councillor Phillip, second by Councillor Booth. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're at 16. Announcements, notice of motions. Councillor Hogg, you're first.
All righty. Through you, Mayor, I attended the Heritage meeting on Monday at Bob Dean's house. And they discussed the finishing of a book that they're doing. They hope to have it done in August and have it sent to the publisher. It's about Alnwick Parliament and history. And our town crier wants me to remind council and staff that he is ready and able for any event or any dedication or grand opening that we need his services. Liam asked me to put a bug in everybody's ear. That's everything I have.
Okay, thank you. The writing of the book. Did he find history?
Well, they're still looking for, excuse me, they're still looking for more history on Alnwick. We have lots for Grafton, but as far as Alnwick, we find that there's more of a tourist area. And Joan is still looking at some of the docks and wharfs and when they were shipping livestock and produce to Peterborough, and we're working on another angle. So we're still working on it.
Okay, I have a picture of Idlewild. And a few years ago, Charlotte Clay Ireland published a book that I'm not 100% sure of the title. We got a flyer on it. They were, I think, $40 or $45. And I remember discussing it and wanting it sent to the library to see if they would purchase 3 copies, one for each library. And it has a lot of the history of Rice Lake.
Well, there seems to be lots of history of Rice Lake, but it's just not Alnwick Township. There's a lot for Harwood to Peterborough and a lot in Hastings, but there's not very much in our township.
Okay, I wonder who might have some of that. And then we got presented with a write-up from one of the ladies in Harwood, or one of the ladies in Roseneath wrote. Did you get that too?
Yes.
I've been trying to think of her name. And it could be in with my history stuff. I'll have to have a look. She wrote quite a bit about Roseneath. I'll look.
Okay.
See what I can find. Okay. I have a couple of things. Community Care Northumberland has their information out about adopting a grandparent, and this is somebody who's usually in their own home and maybe no family, but is quite isolated. I don't know if anyone's interested in that. I have the contact. I'll give it to Pat. It's Jay McKegg, Lindsay, Jay, her, I think it's Lindsay is her first name.
No,
No?
no, it's Jenny McKaig Lindsay. So it's J. Dot
Oh, Jenny.
McKaig Lindsay.
Okay. At communitycare.ca, and it's COMMCARE. And the number to reach her is 905-372-7356. If anyone would like to adopt a senior for just a small gift bag of little items to cheer them up. But Christmas time, they have to be submitted by December 10th. I'll forward that email on to all of you, and I'll forward it to Pat as well. And today at County Council, we had a special meeting. It was regarding the hospital and the hospital funding. And I just want to bring that information to you. The results of it. So the initial request was for $1 million a year for 10 years, 75% to Northumberland Hills Hospital, 25% to Campbellford Memorial Hospital. We've had 2 or 3 meetings over this, and today we made the decision to support, but the decision to support at this time is $250,000 annually for 5 years, because we didn't want to go way into the future. And, you know, for future councils, we took into consideration the next term of council only. This will average $5.14 annually per home. And at the end of that 5 years, the impact average is $25.70. So it'll be on the records for the county. It'll be a separate levy specific to this hospital funding. Now on our tax bills, it'll just show as county levy, so it won't be separated. But if you get asked, that's what it's to be, $5.14 annually, $25.70 over the 5 years. So, yes.
Where is the other funding going to come from? Because that's only like 20% of it.
This will be $1,250,000 at the end of 5 years.
Right.
And I think they need about 40 million. So they'll have to go privately and through donations and whatnot, as they usually do. Of that. So that's, oh, and we have a local author. I've seen her twice. Actually, I bought one of her books and it was good. And I've got the card somewhere. And I didn't want to interrupt Elaine. Anyways, I've got the card. I'll give it to Troy. To give to Elaine, that if there's interest in purchasing a couple of her books, they're just, I think, historical fictions, but she's pretty good. She lives in Bewdley. Rennie. I'll find it. Okay, I'll go on to Deputy Mayor Gibson.
I don't have anything to bring forward except that I will be attending the Grafton November 11th Remembrance Day ceremony on behalf of the township. Mayor Latchford is attending in another area, so I will be there. So hopefully I'll see some of you there.
I'll be in Roseneath for the one at the same time as Grafton's going on. And then I've been asked also to lay wreaths at Alderville's on Sunday. So I'll just go back. Here's my card, or her card, Rennie Legroot. And if you can give that to Elaine, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Councillor Phillip.
Thank you. I only have one item through the mayor, and that is that I received some information from Enbridge Gas regarding the Haldeman Shores Community Expansion Project and notice of study commencement and virtual open house. So Enbridge Gas is proposing to construct the Haldeman Shores Community Expansion project, which will provide affordable natural gas to the community in the township of Haldeman. The project will involve the construction of up to 9 kilometers of natural gas pipeline in the road allowance of Lakeshore Road, Shawano Drive, North Shore Road, Station Road, Keewatin Drive, and Newatin Drive North, Fox Run Road, and Killdeer Crescent. So that information is now public information. And there is a consulting firm that's been retained for the project, and you can get more from Enbridge on this should community have further interest, but that is the guts of it. And I think it's good news for the township. If you have any further questions, so they say that to please contact the consulting company, and that is Stantec Consulting Limited, and they are on 300 West -675 Cochrane Drive, Markham, Ontario, L3R 0B8, Stantec Consulting. So that's a summary of a short summary of some of the content that I received from Enbridge Gas. That's really the only item I have.
Okay, thank
For the
you.
mayor.
Councillor Booth.
Yes, just one item. On October 21st, I was able to attend the GRCA meeting. They talked about their budget increase, and they're looking at a 2% increase, which for the township would mean an increase of $226.47. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So item 17 is the closed session notice. Following the adjournment of the regular council session of Thursday, November 4th, 2021, the council of the Township of Almac-Haldeman will be holding a closed session in accordance with section 239, bracket 2, bracket B, bracket E, and bracket I of the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, to discuss personnel matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, to discuss litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and to discuss the trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization with the CAO, Deputy CAO, Manager of Finance, HR, Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation, Acting Clerk and Deputy Clerk remaining in attendance. Item 18 is the confirming bylaw for this meeting. Be it resolved that bylaw number 120-2021, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council session held on Thursday, November 4th, 2021, be read and deemed to be passed this 4th day of November 21. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Booth, or Councillor Hogg, second. Councillor Booth, all in favor? Carried. And motion to adjourn at 2:32. Be it resolved that the regular council session of council of December the 4th, 2021 be adjourned at 2:32 p.m. Have a mover, please. Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Councillor Phil. All in favor? Carried. Okay.
How long are we going to take here? Gonna come right back in?
You want a break? 10 minutes? We're all having a little break, so 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.